Good afternoon. I'm Lauren Rose Hoffland, and you're watching League TV, a service of the League of Women Voters of Sheboygan County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, grassroots political organization established in 1920 that advocates for the informed and active participation in government. Our members are women and men who work to improve our systems of government and impact public policies through education and advocacy. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates for office at any level of government. Today, we are interviewing Ryan Burg, an incumbent candidate for a position on the Sheboygan Area School District Board of Education. Ryan, before we begin the interview, we want to thank you for agreeing to meet with us today and also for investing your time and resources in running for office.
I really appreciate the ability to spend some time talking with you in regards to what we do here at the school board, and a little bit talk about what I think we can do. It's really important that organizations like the League of Women Voters be there, as kind of a referee, if you will. So I'm honored that you thought of me today, and I look forward to answering any questions that you may have.
So our first question speaks to your qualifications to be a member of the Board of Education. What skills would you bring to the Sheboygan Area School District?
Thank you for that question. The first qualification that I have is that I'm a parent. And my kids both recently graduated, one from North, the other from Etude. And I still remember what it's like, to go to PTO meetings, to raise funds, to do all the things that parents do. And I think, those are memories that don't go away. As far as on a professional level, I have a degree in organizational administration from UW Oshkosh, which I am kind of representing on my shirt today. And really what that is it's all about getting people to communicate and collaborate better together is what the basics of that degree is. And I think that with my skills, my professional skills, and also too the personal skills, the fact that I am able and willing to listen to anyone and everyone, especially those that I disagree with, and get their point of view. I think those are things that really, in this environment, to have people that are not wedded to an echo chamber. I think that's really important for us for a nonpartisan office like the Sheboygan Area School District Board of Education. And I think when I look at that, when I also look at the fact that I grew up here in Sheboygan, and I am 52 years old, and I have spent 51 of those years here. I know Sheboygan. I know what it's, I know from what it was like when I went to Grant School, which is just a couple blocks down to my house, to going to Grant, Urban Junior High, Urban Middle School, North High, and then going away for college for a year or so. But then I came back, and I came back because of this community and because of the fact that it is a beautiful place, and I want to make sure that that our education is still as excellent as it was when I went to school.
What do you think the school district should do to improve equity in education?
As far as equity is concerned, we are getting better. Are we there yet? Absolutely not. But there are a couple of things that we can do, and some that we already have been doing. One thing that that when you look at equity is that equity involves getting the community involved. It is more than just teachers saying, "Oh, there is this category of kid, we must treat them this way." It is really, and I hate to say this because it's such a trite saying, but it's actually pretty true. It takes a whole village to raise a kid, to raise a child. And one thing that we can do is look at developing what's called a community school, where we've done it kind of halfway, but I like to see more of that. What a community school is, it is an opportunity where parents have more direct input, in their kids' school. And they work with teachers, they work with the administration of the school, and going all the way up until until it goes sometimes as far as the superintendent and the board of education. And they identify what needs are there, because every school, just like every child, is different. The needs of Grant are different than the needs of Cleveland, which are different than the needs of Longfellow, and they determine what is exactly needed. Longfellow, for example, had an issue where they really needed a healthcare facility. And that is something that, in working with Lakeshore Community Health Clinic, we now have one there.
Very good.
And it's stuff like that I think that we really need to focus on.
How should the school board inform their decisions to best deal with COVID-19 moving forward?
Let's face it, nobody likes what happened with COVID. Nobody. And one of the things that we've done, I think more so than other districts in the community, is that we have been pretty open, as far as having our decisions be made using science, now we're using the guidelines from the CDC, which it turns out that we're following what we were following when we decided to reopen our schools partially for the high and middle schools and fully for the elementary schools, that we were already following what they had suggested. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is we need to make sure that our parents are notified and that they are involved. Maybe not necessarily in the overall decision, but they have input. That's something that we've not done as good of a job as I think we could have. But we were in a position that we were basically building the plane as it was in the air. I hope that we're able to take some of those lessons, such as getting more parents involved, such as learning how to better use things like Zoom, and using distance and virtual learning, to really reach out to all kids and also their parents as well.
What do you recommend the school district does to attract and retain quality staff?
Are a couple of things, and this actually goes to an equity question as well. One thing that we've been working on, and that really districts throughout Wisconsin have faced, is the issue of hiring staff of color. We are working with Lakeland University now, which is which has a fairly significant Black population, and in working with them and their education program to basically have Wilson Elementary be a lab, if you will, where teachers of color can go in. They can do their student teaching, they can do their practicums, and with the hope that they would then stay with the district, once they graduate. Another thing that can be done, that I think we really are trying to do, and I think we do a fairly good job, is that we are very much a collaborative district. Having been on the board for 9 years and having talked with my colleagues throughout the state, there are a lot of districts which are very much a kind of a command control. It's like, you will do this and you will do it this way, or there will be blank to pay. We really try to have a collaborative effort with our teachers. This is not a teachers union thing. They don't run the asylum, so to speak. But what we do is we work together and we try to come up with solutions that work for everyone. And I think that's one of the reasons why our rate of losing teachers is relatively small given the size of the district that we have. And then finally, certainly paying a comparable salary for the community that we're in, with comparable benefits. That's important too. But in a lot of the teachers I've talked with, It is more the idea of collaboration, being able to work together, feeling like they have support from the administration and also from the board.
What do you see as the most important role of the school board and why?
The important role of the school board is really to be that of an advise and consent, to be to be the voice of the community, where the administration goes through us and asks, what do you think? And there are times where we agree with them, where we've got that good relationship. There are times where we say, do better. And I think that's really the role of the board. The role of the board is, in very limited cases, somewhat of a dictatorial. It's like, you will do this. But most of the time, again, like it is with our teachers and our administration, it's a collaborative effort. It's how can we all work together to make sure that our kids are educated.
So, this last question is a long one. Since 2017, Wisconsin statute requires graduating high school students to take a civics test comprised of the same 100 questions that may be asked of an individual applying for U.S. citizenship. Students must correctly answer 65 of those questions. In non-presidential election years, spring voter turnout in the county and the city has been between 20 and 40%, even though this election determines who runs local government as well as the school board. And much has been written lately about U.S. citizens' general lack of knowledge about the Constitution, the election system, and the critical role of compromise in democracy. Do you think the current civics education offered in the district goes far enough to educate and engage young citizens in the democratic process?
No. No, it
Well,
doesn't.
that was a long question and a very short answer.
When you look at, especially now with the advent of social media and all of the various news outlets that are out there, both liberal and conservative, where it is less about facts and more about opinion, and that those opinions drive what some people believe are facts. And I think one of the things that we need to, as a society, as a society, can do better on. One of the things we can do better is the idea of getting people to be self-critical of what what they're consuming, and when it comes to media content, and understand that Rachel Maddow she provides commentary. So does Sean Hannity. They're not necessarily journalists, and it's not necessarily news. And people need to understand, it's like, well, this is an opinion versus this is what is actually happening. I think if you have more of an emphasis on criticism, and being able to understand what is going on, why do they have this point of view, and then understand that you have the same ability to come up with your own point of view. I think that will go a long way to increasing our civics knowledge. And another thing is events like this, where you have a nonpartisan organization like the League of Women Voters saying, what do you think? We're not going to tell you what to think. We want to know what you think as a leader, as a candidate for office. I think hearing it unfiltered, hearing it in as, for lack of a better word, agnostic, point of view, I think is important.
And thank you so much for taking the time to interview with us today. The League of Women Voters strongly encourages all who are eligible to vote in the upcoming general election on April 6th. If you are one of the 20,000 eligible citizens in our county not registered to vote yet, you may sign up easily on myvote.wi.gov, or you may contact your local municipal clerk for more information. Other LeagueTV interviews may be found on our website, including our conversations with 5 of the candidates for the school board. Ryan, again, thank you so much for being with us today. Good luck in your campaign and in the upcoming election.
Again, it was a pleasure, spending a Saturday afternoon with you. And I can't second your final statement enough. Get out there, vote. It's not that hard to register if you haven't done so. You can, at the time that we are recording this, you can still do an absentee ballot, although it's getting close. And it's not that hard to do. And voting is, to me, the key thing about being an American, is being a citizen, is that unlike so many other places, you have the ability to say, yeah, I like what you're doing, or oh, you suck, get out of here. Voting is huge. And I would rather lose when there's a large turnout than win when there's a small, because that means that a lot of people have been able to express their point of view. And with that, I know I've gone on long, as I often do.
Well,
I thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan, and you have a good rest of your day.
You as well. Take care.
Thank you.